Welcome to Turning Base, the podcast that charts a course through the fast-changing world of aviation digital marketing. Hosted by Bryan Redeker, Turning Base is your destination for actionable strategies, expert interviews, and insights tailored for FBOs, charter operators, and general aviation providers. If you're ready to elevate your brand, streamline your messaging, and grow your presence in the skies, you're in the right place. This is Turning Base.
Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Turning Base podcast. I'm your host, Bryan Redeker, and I'm joined once again with my brother, Bryan Redeker. Here we are.
Hello. Yeah, let's kick off episode 3. So let's do it, Brandon. I'll turn it over to you and
Sure.
Let's talk about. We have an exciting subject to talk about today. So
Yeah, I think it's
get to it.
Yeah, I think it's one of everybody's favorite word. Okay, it's actually probably people's most hated word, budget. But we're not going to get into numbers. Yeah, right. I know. Everybody you talk about budgets, and it's like, ooh, wait a minute. Did you really? Yeah, we did. So, let's talk about that line item that FBOs, MROs, charter operations. I think everybody hates looking at the marketing budget. So
yeah, it's the first one. It's the first one to get cut, right?
Yeah. I think even people's household, when the money gets tight, they quickly start looking at what can we cut? What are things that we can?
Your household has
cut?
a marketing budget?
Well, not a marketing budget, but we definitely have a budget, and it's never fun to discuss.
Yeah.
Right. So, and a lot of times, marketing is one of the first things that gets cut. It just does. So every single time, and one of the reasons is we tend to find that people view marketing kind of like just a monthly bill, like an electric bill or any other just monthly utility. And it's probably one of the easiest things that people can just pull back on, right? You really can't pull back on your electric bill. You got to keep the lights on. So that's not going to work very well. Oh
yeah, I think you're right, Brandon. I think it's always marketing, because to them it is just a bill. They're not seeing the tangible effect, right? You talk about electricity. You can see the tangible effect of electricity.
Yeah.
If you don't pay your bill or you cut it out, you have no power. So it's a tangible thing that you can really see and see the value of, like, hey, I pay this bill, I get lights come on. Marketing's a little bit more difficult. You pay a bill, the money goes out, but you have a tough time seeing the tangible results. I mean, most of the time the results are there, but they're not nearly as tangible or as easy to see, easy to understand. They are like, if you cut your food budget, you say, man, I went from, having 3 boxes of cereal in the pantry to only 2. That's tangible. Marketing's not nearly as tangible.
No, because a lot of this stuff, it takes time, right? It takes time for the marketing to start working. So you start to see that, the leads coming in, the phone ringing, stuff like that. It's not an instantaneous thing and then also when you cut it, it may not show up right away versus like if you don't buy that extra box of cereal. Yeah, it's very, very tangible. So, it's a lot of times it's like renting space. Marketing can almost be kind of like renting space.
Yeah, it's almost a little bit way of putting. One of the things I've heard it talked about before is kind of like planting the seeds, right? Like,
yes.
If you want to have an apple orchard, marketing is the planting of the seeds and the watering and the taking care of the tree, and then it gets you the apple later. But if you're spending all the money on the fertilizer, the seed, the water, and everything, and you're looking at your tree going, I don't have any apples on my tree, it's going to be the first thing to cut. Is like, well, I'll just turn the water off on that and save that money.
Right.
But that means the apples will never grow. You don't know how much you lost because you cut the budget out. And if the budget is growing, you still cut it, and then you wonder, well, why aren't my apples growing anymore? Well, did you plant the seeds? Did you put down the fertilizer? Did you add the water? No. So it takes time to ramp up with marketing, and it also takes time to see the effects of when you pull the marketing.
Yes.
But it most certainly is a real thing that if you invest in marketing, you will gain. And when you take the marketing away, you will lose, unless your marketing is absolutely terrible.
Well,
and then of which we have a separate problem.
That's a whole nother problem. That can be a whole nother topic in general, right? So you kind of have to look at marketing. You talked about the apple tree. It becomes an asset. So
Yeah.
you almost
Yes.
have to view marketing like an asset. So like if you go out and buy, you just talked about apples and an apple tree, right? That's a physical asset. Or what about a new fuel truck? Or what if you build a new hangar?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. A fuel truck, you could see it. A hangar, you could rent it out, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and a fuel truck's going to pay for itself because, well, you're selling fuel, so it's going to pay for itself. You can rent out the hangar, you can see these physical things right away, and marketing doesn't always have that same effect, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Yeah, you're exactly right, right? An asset, that adds value to your operation. It's easier to see. It's easier to understand. Like, yeah, that fuel truck, it's paying for itself. The return
yep.
on investment is super easy to calculate on something as simple as a fuel truck or a hangar. You know, but return on investment for marketing is always the most difficult.
Right, because like if you had like a slow day, you're not gonna go, hey, you know what? That fuel truck, I'm just gonna park that for a few days because I
Right.
had a slow day.
Right.
You're obviously not gonna do that. You're gonna be like, well, what can I do to get that fuel truck going out to get fuel more airplanes? Because that's gonna increase my revenue. You're not gonna go, oh, I'm just gonna park it. I don't
Well,
need to
and,
do
and
that.
marketing is the key to get the aircraft to come in. And if the aircraft come in, you're
Yes.
putting the fuel
Yes.
in there. So it's all kind of interrelated. It all kind of works together.
It does. It does. Because if you do have that good marketing, then more planes are going to be coming to your airport. So then that fuel truck is going to be busier, right?
Exactly. The
So
hangar rental comes in, the fuel truck is busier, but
absolutely.
it's just not as easy to see that right away.
Yeah. So you want the marketing to really be a permanent piece of your operation. Not necessarily, oh, I have my ad spend, I have retainers that I'm paying every month. It's something you want to build and not just look at it like, oh, I'm just spending it, right? So you kind of have to look at it like, what is your marketing system and how do you have your budget set up to support that? So you gotta pay for a good website. You have to understand how SEO works so that your Google rankings, um, all of those things, your automated setup for email, so that like if people are looking for something, no matter what time of day it is, they have an ability to get some information right away. So, you want something that's working all the time for you and not just something you're like, oh, well, I'm going to do it this month. Maybe I'll do it next month. I'm not sure.
What about buying a list? A lot of times, in regular
Yeah.
corporate marketing, right? It's pretty common to say, look, I can go through a company here and I can buy. Give me a second here. We have a little bit of a technical difficulty here. We have a cat trying to push off a stack of paperwork from the desk.
No,
So,
no.
anyway, speaking of paperwork, if you in regular corporate world, a lot of times you can buy a list of customer email addresses, customer phone numbers, things like that.
Oh,
What
yeah.
about buying a list in the aviation world?
But yeah, and I get emails all the time of people trying to sell me a list. They're like, "Hey, I can sell you this list of all of these companies and high converting leads and everything like that." And you know what? As I've learned through doing this, that a lot of times that's really not the direction you want to go. It actually becomes more of a liability because these are cold targets. Now you're just throwing random messages at cold targets. You're hitting spam filters, and if you do that enough
That's
times,
it.
you're gonna you're gonna damage your domain reputation. And then all of a sudden you're gonna try to send emails and they're just not gonna go anywhere.
It's the lazy way of doing it.
It
You
is.
buy an email list, you type in a generic email, you send it to everyone on there, and who really takes the time to read any of those? I mean, I think my Yahoo email right now has got like 20,000 unread messages. Do you think I'm ever going to read 20,000 unread messages? Because you know what they are? They're from 100 million brands that
Oh yeah.
I don't care about. I don't know anything about. I don't want to know anything about them.
Yes.
I'm getting
Yes.
hit with all that because my email address showed up on somebody's list
And then they bought
somewhere
it.
that was bought.
and then
Yeah.
they bought it.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then that's like actually that got through your spam filter. Like the other day, I
Oh,
actually looked
yeah.
at my spam filtered emails and I was like, how many thousands is in
Oh,
there? I'm like, yeah,
absolutely.
just trash it.
My work email, the Gmail, the Yahoo, all the different mail
All of them,
things I have. Yeah, you venture off into the social the same way. You go to the
man.
spam inbox or the junk inbox on Facebook Messenger, Instagram, any of these things, and you're like, whoa, I had like hundreds of messages. First of all, I can barely even keep up with messages I'm actively looking for, let alone the hundreds of them. So it's a lazy way to go. If you think
It
that's going
is.
to do it, you're not going to buy a list and instantly wake up the next day and be like, man, I got 100 aircraft lining up to land here. This is fantastic. I got a
Yeah,
miniature
that's not
Chicago
gonna
O'Hare
happen.
going on because I bought a list.
Yeah, yeah, that's not gonna happen. The exact opposite's actually most likely going to happen. So what can you do? So you need to build an infrastructure, right? You need to build something on your own that can pull together and to get people. So a lot of times, that is going to be through SEO. That is going to be through Google Business Profile. You want to be able to have like a way to build your own leads and build your own list, because then you own that and you built it, and that's going to convert a whole lot better. Almost going back to what we talked about last week with clarity, getting really clear on what you're doing and having the marketing budget to support all of these things, because marketing isn't free, right? It's not just sitting down and be like, oh, I'm going to do a post right now. That's my marketing right now.
Yeah. So if you have someone who wants to go from, just paying a bill, it's an expense going on every day, and you want to turn that into building an infrastructure like you talked about, what's the first step of that? Right?
Yeah,
What's the
yeah.
foundation? What's the infrastructure first step where it's not just sending out a monthly bill?
Yeah. So, uh, this kind of ties back into what we did talk about last week, but I'm going to relate it slightly different to building a permanent asset. So, if you were to do this physically, you would walk out onto your flight line. You would look at what fuel trucks you have, what hangars you have. So, in the marketing side of things, start looking at your website. Start looking at what list you currently have. When you do a Google search for your airport, your FBO, charter business, whatever, where does it come up? How does it actually show up? Again, put yourself in the pilot spot. What are they looking for? We talked about that last week, talking about it again. And then kind of go, okay, if I stop doing this, what would happen? Do I have the power to attract, to convert, to hold on to customers, stay in front of customers? Do you have that system currently built?
Yeah, it really, it's like you said, building that infrastructure. So, I look at it from a standpoint of like, build the asset, stop renting the results, right? Stop
Yes.
turning this into a monthly expense that goes out the door, and you're basically renting it. Like, if you turn it off, it's just going to end. Build the infrastructure,
Yes.
have something that's supportive, and then you can actually deploy, and it will work as a marketing asset, something you have owned, something you have built. Think of it as building a hangar.
Yeah,
Build the
it's the same thing.
infrastructure to support the hangar. That's your marketing plan.
Yeah, that's really how you have to look at it, is that it's going to cost money to build that hangar, to buy that field truck, to add, maybe you need bigger fuel tanks on site. All of those things.
Different
You
types of fuel. Do you need Jet A? Do you need
Yeah,
low? What do you need? Right. So, yeah, think about
all of these
marketing
things.
as building an infrastructure, just as you would if you were building an actual physical asset on your property or buying a physical asset and everything that takes to support it. That's how you got to change your mindset to think of marketing that way.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a little different of a mindset when you think about your budget. And so, like I said at the beginning, we're not going to talk about numbers, because we're not going to do that. But the marketing budget is something you need to really stop and look at and use it to build a permanent asset that can start to um, generate those leads, generate people, and capture that. And then that is like one of the starting pieces to building it. So kind of amazing. And you had just mentioned fuel, different kinds of fuel.
Yeah. So, is it time to talk about the news?
Yeah, let's jump
Let's
over
talk
to
about some
the
news,
news
shall we?
because we did tease this one last week a little bit and said that we might need a few more minutes and just quickly highlighting it. So let's jump over to the news because in future episodes we're going to be going a little bit deeper into the different pillars that support the marketing. So now that we kind of have that mindset shift of a marketing budget, let's transition to the news a little bit and let's talk about that fuel because this one is, I think, kind of an important news topic to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the FAA has put in a plan to transition away from 100 octane low lead fuel by 2030. Now, let's be honest, there's been talk about getting away from leaded fuel for a long time, right?
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
not new by any means. But now they put a deadline on it. So I think they're starting to get serious about actually trying to make this work.
Serious. It's hard to tell with deadlines, right? Because they always
Yeah.
seem to get extended out when it comes to things like this. But at least it's moving in that direction, and I think we can all safely say it is moving the direction to get away from leaded fuel, and for a lot of really good reasons.
Yeah.
They want to move away from it from an environmental standpoint and from a safety standpoint. There's a lot of good reasons to move away from it.
Yeah. And it is kind of interesting because, leaded fuel was used to help increase performance of engines, especially at altitude. And it works really good for that, actually. And so, reading up on a couple of these new fuels, um, immediately as, building cars and running different fuels and how all these things work is going, well, if we remove fuel, what's that going to do to engines, gaskets, hoses? Like, there's a lot of
Valve
things,
seats, valve
valve
guides, things
seats.
like that that have been used to running with a certain amount of lead in
Yeah.
the fuel.
Yeah. So I know, like, if you buy, even if you go fill up your car today, every car for the most part is built so that it can stand with ethanol in the fuel. But if you go do that in an older vehicle that wasn't designed to run on ethanol, bad things can happen.
Or your boat, or your
Or your
recreational
boat.
vehicle, or
Oh,
your
yes.
yeah. I drove past the gas station today, and we're coming up on Memorial Day weekend, right?
Oh, yeah.
It is lined with boats and motorcycles and ATVs, and most of them are over at the rec fuel pump, not the regular gas pump, because
Exactly.
putting ethanol-rich fuel in a lot of these type of vehicles that are not designed for it can be extremely harmful to rubber, to gaskets, to O-rings, seals, gas tanks, things like that. So you have to be aware of the type of fuel you are putting into an engine. And that goes for, low lead or unleaded fuels as well.
Yeah. Now, what was interesting when I was reading up on some of these fuels is that they are designed to work with the existing structure that the entire fuel system is already designed. So, from storage and transportation to in the fuel tank of the airplane to running it, it is designed to not need to change anything. Now, you can't mix it, right? So,
Right.
when you do that transition, most of the fuels, when I was researching it, you can't mix them. So, it is, you got to drain it and then put in the new fuel, and then that's it. But I was pretty impressed with the fact that they were able to figure out a way to get the same amount of performance without needing to change any of the gaskets or valve seats, valve guides, any of that stuff, which I don't know how they did that.
Uh,
Um,
Chemical engineers. That's how they did it.
yeah,
It was called chemical engineers.
yes,
Chemistry and chemical engineers working hand in hand to do amazing things.
yes.
Yeah,
People
I mean,
way
really,
smarter than
that's
me.
the thing. We have new technologies now. We have new
Yeah.
materials. We have a lot of new things at our disposal and additives and things like that that they're able to do. So it's fantastic that they took kind of a slower approach at this because of the fact that the implications of getting it wrong are significant.
Yeah, yeah. So there's a couple different fuels that they're working on testing, and what they're going to do is have a trial with different airports. I don't know the exact process of how the different airports are going to be part of this trial, but the FAA really wanted to make this that the pilots and airports are going to pick the winner. The FAA they were kind of like, we don't want to be the final. We want to see what the industry actually picks as the winner, and then that will be the new standard fuel to be rolled out across the country. So, if that takes place, now be mindful that if you're doing this and someone converts, that they need to stay on that fuel. So
Right.
there could be at some of these trial airports making sure that the right fuel goes into the right airplane at the proper time. So that's another
Yeah.
thing to be
But that's
careful
also an
of.
opportunity too that if you want to be more on the cutting edge or the leading edge of this transition and you want to attract um
Yeah,
pilots into your airport, this may be an opportunity for you to do so. So, yeah, I think the leaded fuel topic is one that we're going to probably visit a few more times as things develop. So,
yeah,
I think it's a kind of an appetizer, if you will, on
yeah.
what we covered here today. And I think it's going to be one that will have some further development as we get closer to that 2030. And I think it's going to be a great topic for us to continually talk about and bring up. So, yeah,
Yeah,
good for bringing that one up in the news today, Brandon. Appreciate that.
yeah, that's a good one. And so, almost what you were kind of saying is that if you are going to be one of those airports that has the trial fuel, you might want to market it to let people know.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. Not only is it, hey, almost a NOTAM, if you will, but it's
Yeah,
actually a
right.
little bit more than that. It can be something you leverage as part of your marketing and advertising for your airport.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Because I think pilots are going to want to know where the different fuels are available if they want to take part in this. Because I do think this is going to be an important thing. Whether they're going to hit the 2030 deadline,
We'll find out.
we're
We'll
gonna
find
find
out.
out on
So
that one, but I do
stay
think,
tuned,
yeah,
as they say.
stay tuned. Yeah. Um, well, I think this
Well,
will
good.
be good. So, another news topic was there has been a significant amount of news recently about upgrading. Upgrading. The FAA has come out with this modernization plan, and just recently there was the NOTAM's infrastructure was upgraded. It doesn't make any difference as to how they get people read them. The structure's all the same, but they were upgrading a lot of the servers and other equipment. And then just recently, the DOT has invested $800 million to replace old ATC facilities.
Hmm.
And one of the things in the article, it talked about some of these systems have not been upgraded since the 1960s.
Absolutely. I remember getting tours of the control tower in the late 80s and early 90s, and it looked dated then. And I guarantee you it has not changed at
Yes.
all. So that's great because air traffic control is a very critical part of
Yes.
flying. And it needs to be upgraded and updated. So it's great that they're going to put effort into doing so because it's something that's long, long, long overdue, and we all depend on it. Right?
Oh,
We
yes.
depend on it if we
Everybody
fly
does.
commercial, if we fly general aviation, if we're a passenger in an airplane, we're all involved in that.
Yes. Yeah, and
I wish I had some air traffic control here to instruct Jax here out of the airspace.
he
Um,
really wants to be
Needs an
part
update.
of this podcast,
Yeah,
doesn't
we're
he?
gonna get him a little headset and a microphone. He was sound asleep a little bit ago, and I didn't shut the door into the room here, and he decided, hey, I want to be part of this exciting talk. So
Yes. Yeah.
apologies for that. Um, you never know where he's going to show up, so
Yeah.
we'll either make him part of the podcast or just close the door for next time. But
Yeah.
apologies for that.
Yeah, so they were gonna there was different parts of that how that $800 million was spent, and we'll have a link to the actual article in the show notes. But they break it all down to exactly how that 800 million was spent. We're not gonna go through it, but I thought the interesting part of that was 8 towers were gonna go through a pretty big substantial upgrade, which sounded like they needed it. because they have technology from 50 years ago that's still running everything. And then also a number like 41 federal contact towers are also going to get upgraded, along with a bunch of radios and radar systems and stuff like that. So all in all, I think it's exciting to see that the DOT and the FAA are really working together to modernize a lot of these systems that we so depend on. And for the most part, especially if people just fly commercial, they don't really even know about
That's right.
this.
You take it for granted.
Yeah.
You know when it doesn't work, but you don't necessarily appreciate all of it that happens when it does work. So, yeah, fantastic that they're putting the effort and the attention into this. It's been in the news quite a bit lately in terms of, the just in general air traffic control, and I think people are starting to become a little bit more aware of it. Those in the flying community, of course, have been very aware of it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, fantastic that that's finally going to happen. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
unfortunately, in the
great news.
news, a lot of times it's the bad news when things don't go well, which is kind of unfortunate. And I know that they're trying to hire a lot more people. I read an interesting article about how they're actually targeting gamers.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. In fact, I think last week tonight with John Oliver did an entire thing on that as well. There's been a few other news articles. There's been some shows on it. News broadcasts all related to that as well. So yeah, exciting stuff. It's good. It's important and needed. So
Yeah, awesome. All right.
okay.
Well, that does conclude this episode of Turning Base. Brian, you got any last thoughts? Anything to close us out of here today?
No, that's about it. Other than we're coming up on Memorial Day weekend. The flying season starts here in West Michigan where we're at. So both full scale and RC and everything out. So
The weather's looking
looking
good finally.
forward to a year of or a summer season of aircraft. So
Yeah, it's gonna be exciting. It's gonna be exciting.
indeed,
All right.
indeed.
Well,
So all
thank you
right.
for listening or watching Turning Base, and we will catch up with you next week with some more fun topics.
Until next week. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thanks for flying with us on Turning Base. If you found value in today's episode, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your team. Want more tips and tools for marketing your aviation business? Visit us at readymarketing.net. Until next time, keep your wings level, your message clear, and your altitude high.